Hi, this is Mark Divine, host of The Mark Divine Show. Thanks so much for joining me today. Super stoked to have you here. On this show, I love to explore topics that fascinate me, to include things around whole person integrated development, unlocking peak performance, unlocking and tapping into perpetual flow state, optimization of lifespan, anti-aging, and all sorts of things around technology, AI, cultural transformation, and those types of things. Every once in a while, we have a cutting-edge, uncommon guest join us here in the studio in Encinitas, California. But right now, I'm really enjoying exploring just teaching. So I love teaching, and it really is my passion. And so I'm doing a series of solo podcasts around different things that interest me. And I'm finishing up right now a series on what we call the 5 mountains. So again, thanks for joining me today on the Mark Divine Show. Super stoked to have you here. And here's my guest, me. So if you're new, and this is for you, if you never had any touch point with my philosophy for living life, then I will give a quick overview. Those of you who've been following me for some time might be familiar with my work at Unbeatable Mind, or my other company, Seal Fit, which is really where I kind of tested out and evolved and iterated this training philosophy. The training philosophy, which I call Unbeatable Mind, is one of whole person integrated development, which accelerates your growth to the highest level possible. Your greatest capacity as a human being in this lifetime is accessible to you by taking certain actions in a deliberate process of trying to achieve certain things, habituation, behavioral modification, those sorts of things, but also in equally by letting go and surrendering certain things, cherished ideas, beliefs, cherished habits, egocentric ways of living, leading to more sustainable, even though I don't love that word in today's environment, but more, let's say, durable results, so that you can have the incredible life that you want, that you strive for, that your heart desires, right? Even abundance and wealth and perfect health and body and family and relationships, all that. And you deserve all that, as long as it's aligned with your calling, your purpose, and you're doing no harm in the accumulation of those things. But as you know, those things don't lead to lasting happiness or peace of mind or a life with no regrets. Often they do lead to regrets, and they do lead to anxiety and burnout and not that peace of mind and happiness that we actually are looking for. And so we end up getting toward the end of your life and be like, you could be surrounded by yachts and homes and all sorts of, complexity and be absolutely, utterly miserable. And many of those people are. Or you can get to the end of your life and have nothing and be completely peaceful and happy. Well, I suggest that we have whatever we want or whatever we need and be happy and peaceful. That's what we can gain from this integrated development, whole person development, because we're not lopsided. In the Western culture, we're very lopsided, and we skew and double click on action and bias and what we consider to be the yang side, the masculine energy, right? And the staunch individualism of this Western culture, in particular, America. And so what that leads to is this constant grasping for more, right? More accomplishments, more certifications, more degrees. I fell into that myself. I mean, look at me, MBA, CPA, PhD, Navy SEAL. Who cares, right? Ultimately, none of that matters, right? You come into this world with your fists closed and you go out with your palms open. What can you possibly take with you? By the way, that's a Kapir quote. I don't take credit for that one. So because we've been trained and steeped in this culture that has us always grasping and looking for success and measures of well-being or being meaningful outside of ourselves, then we don't cultivate the inner peace and happiness, which is our natural state. And so that is the other side of the equation, which we develop hand in glove, right? Which is the yin side, the yin perspective, the feminine, which means to be receptive, to be open, to be compassionate, to be forgiving, to experience loving kindness, to let things go, right? To not be so wrapped up in your righteousness and your judgmentalism and thinking you have to be perfect. So with that approach, it's a process of letting go. So on one side, we have a process of gaining and attaining and striving. And the other side, we have a process which is exactly the opposite, which is to let go and to surrender and to accept things the way they are. And these two are absolutely complementary. In fact, to be whole, you need to do both. Let me guess, you walk out of the gym feeling like a champion, but you smell like you just wrestled a grizzly bear. Yep, that was me too. And I didn't want to smell that way, so I would try deodorant, but my deodorant would tap out before I did. And I also got kind of bored with the typical deodorant options. Same three things: pine trees, musk, and disappointment because they don't work. I figured it's time for an upgrade. That's why I came across Cremo. Cremo deodorant is here to set you free from sweat and stink. With 48-hour protection, barber-grade quality, it's crafted with passion and precision. It's not your average deodorant. It's about making a statement. We've got two cool scents. One's called Italian Bergamot with notes of, you guessed it, bergamot and neroli blossom and fresh vetiver, whatever that is, but it smells great. And another one called Palo Santo. It's kind of smoky and refined with cardamom and Palo Santo in it. Pretty cool. Anywho, no residue, no weird stickiness, just long-lasting confidence in a scent that could match your vibe. It's pretty cool. What sets them apart? Well, enhanced multi-layered scent technology for a longer lasting experience. You apply it once and you smell good all day long. That's awesome. And let's be real. The scent isn't just about avoiding sweat. It's also about making a good impression. So if you're ready to elevate your grooming game, you got to go to Target because that's where they sell this stuff, or target.com online, and look for their Italian Bergamot and Palo Santo deodorants. Again, Cremo, spelled Cremo. Sold at Target or Target.com. Check it out. Smell better, feel better, be unforgettable. You've got grand ambitions and audacious goals, and you're striving to get there, but maybe you're not there yet. Well, me neither. Well, that's a good thing. The highest achievers among us are still striving, reaching for something more, not satisfied to stay where they are in the status quo. And they're the ones who approach the impossible and embrace it. And those folks need a vehicle that embodies that spirit. Enter the Land Rover Defender. It's a family of vehicles designed for adventure and exploration. From the agile Defender 90 to the versatile 110 and the spacious Defender 130 with 8 seats. There's one for every explorer. These are engineered to meet challenges head on. Defender is built with durable, lightweight material and a tough, rigid body design. They exude confidence, whether you're on the road or off. With its modern design and legendary capability, you can explore with confidence. So whether you're hauling gear for the weekend adventure or transporting your crew, the Defender has the cargo capacity to handle it. It's not just a vehicle, it's an icon of adventure, reimagined for a new generation of explorers. So go ahead and tackle your grand ambitions with the Defender. Why wait? Explore your way with the Defender now. Design it today at LandRoverUSA.com. Land Rover, LandRover, USA.com. To live the life that you want, to have the peace of mind and the health, wealth, success that you want or deserve, you got to do both. So that's what we do. That's my philosophy. And the methodology I've chosen that I've iterated over the years, I call 5 mountain training. And 5 mountains are the 5 domains or disciplines or areas of like extreme interest to us that dominate a lot of people, dominate everyone's lives. And they are physical, your physical evidence of existence, your body, your health, right? How you move in the world. People are radically body obsessed and spend most of their waking hours basically feeding, exercising, and navigating this body through the world and relationships. So we're very body focused. That's why we start there, because we want to soften our grip with the body, but also strengthen the body and purify it so it's a fit vessel. It's a very perfect, awesome tool for us to move about and to accomplish our mission. The second mountain is the mental domain. And this is really getting control of your thinking processes, understanding how the mind works, opening up to your whole mind, which includes your heart and your gut minds, and to be able to balance left and right hemispheric thinking and to tap into insight, intuition, and instinctual energy. There's a lot there, right? And that requires training. And so we have a dedicated process for training. The mental mountain. The third area that's a big one for everyone is the emotional mountain. So the emotional mountain really has to do with your own relationship with yourself, your childhood traumas, and your response to those traumas and how they show up, as an adult, which usually isn't pretty, as well as your ability to connect with others at a deep level and to not project all your stuff or transfer your stuff onto them. And so this is difficult work. It's work that most men in particular shy away from. They have an intellectual understanding of it and they think, great, I read John Goleman's EQ book and I think I really get it, but they don't get it. And so we want to double click on the emotional mountain and spend a lot of time there really clearing up that stuff. And you can't do that if your mind is out of control and your body is unhealthy. So this is why physical comes first, then mental, and then emotional work. And the fourth mountain is intuition. So really, as you develop physical health and clarity and strength and purity, as well as mental focus, clarity, concentration, attention control, and opening up the whole mind and emotional maturity and awareness, suddenly you will have access to the very subtle intuitional cues that your gut, your heart, and your brain is offering you through direct insight, direct perception, empathic understanding, and instinctual intuition. That's the intuition mountain. Now, that brings me to the fifth and final mountain, which is today's discussion, and that is what we use the term Kokoro. You could say spiritual, but I decided to not use the term spiritual because I think the term is a little bit poisoned. To use a word, it's probably not the best word, but it means something different to everybody. For some people, it means religious. Others have a woo-foo kind of new age kind of orientation to it. So instead of using that term, and more close to the truth is the word Kokoro, which is a Japanese kind of warrior term, which means a couple things. Merging your heart and your mind into your actions or through your actions, right? Bringing heart, mind into your actions. So that's one definition. Another is whole mind, which is exactly what I said, this whole process of integration, developing yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, intuitionally, spiritually, and looking at those all as aspects of your mind. Kokoro means whole mind. And it also means integration. So bringing it all together so that you don't experience life just as a body carrying around a bunch of thoughts in a brain that happens to occasionally experience some emotions, right? It's all together. And the experience is one rich experience of witnessing life unfold spontaneously, effortlessly. Another Japanese term called shibumi, effortless perfection, and joyously, right? As opposed to constantly it's always in this kind of planning, striving, egoic kind of struggle, which is exhausting and will ultimately lead to burnout. So integration, Kokoro, whole mind is ultimately the fruits of our labor. There's really not much doingness in this mountain, right? I don't have practices for you. Like, we're going to go practice Kokoro. But there are certain things that can stimulate clarity and movement toward integration in the Kokoro mountain. Now, the first and most important is the work of the other four mountains. So Kokoro integration comes together and happens through daily practices, weekly practices, and even monthly, quarterly practices around the physical, mental, emotional, and intuitional mountains. And I discussed those at length in the previous podcast on those subjects. One of the beautiful outcomes of that 5-mountain integration training and the time that you spend in particular in the internal practices of box breathing, contemplation, mindfulness, witnessing, concentration training, is that you begin to open up to that intuition that I mentioned earlier in that fourth mountain. And one of the intuitive things that you open up to is your sense of why you're here on this planet. I'll call that your calling, right? Or what the Eastern tradition would call your dharma, your reason for being. Everyone's got a reason for being, and it's more of an archetypal energy than it is an actual thing that you do. Now it may align, right? You may say, okay, my reason for being is a warrior. And that was the experience that I had when I was in my 20s meditating. I experienced that I was meant to be a warrior. Now, the way I fulfilled that initially was to warrior up and leave the path that I was on, which was to be a CPA, getting my MBA and become a, millionaire like all of my peers in Wall Street. And so it took some warrior skills for me to say, no, not that. That's not my life. That's not my path. That's not who I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be a real warrior. And then I just shifted my focus to becoming an actual military special operations warrior through the Navy SEALs. And so I fulfilled that warriorness need, which was my calling, by becoming an actual special operator warrior. But it didn't end there. If I had said that my calling was to be a Navy SEAL, that would limit me. That's something that you do. It's a career. It's a job. It's not who I am. So think about that. When you talk about Kokoro Mountain, we're looking for the essential nature of who you are in your beingness. And that always has an archetypal energy, like warrior or healer, right? Or entertainer, or even just nurturer as a mother or father. So it can be very, very simple, right? Or producer of food, there's probably a better word for that, like someone who is working with the earth to bring the healing qualities of high quality, high prana food to the world. That is an incredible calling. So, but you could fulfill that in any number one of jobs or careers. So this is probably one of the most important outcomes and even practices of the Kokoro Mountain is really sitting with and asking, what is my calling? What am I here for? What am I meant for? And the tool that we use in Unbeatable Mind, we call the 3 Ps. And the 3 Ps are to really reflect upon and answer questions about what's my purpose. That would be akin to your calling. Why am I on this planet? What's my purpose? And then the second P is, what am I passionate about, right? Because now we're getting closer, similar to the Ikigai principle from Japanese culture, where like you look at like what you're really passionate about and what you're really good at and what the world needs and wants. And somewhere in the center, you've got a path toward a fulfilling life. Hey, folks, I want to tell you about a cool tool that's become essential for me. It's called NordVPN. It's a virtual private network that's making cruising the web safer for me. With NordVPN, I can watch sporting events or TV shows from anywhere in the world by switching my virtual location. It protects my private data like bank details and passwords, giving me peace of mind if I'm using public Wi-Fi. I can also save money if I'm inclined by purchasing flights or hotels or other subscriptions at cheaper prices from other countries, as if I was there. And their threat protection feature shields me from viruses, malware, or phishing, and those are getting really sophisticated these days. I love the speed, too. It's the fastest VPN in the world. You don't experience any buffering or lagging while streaming. And it's super affordable, offering premium cybersecurity for the price of a cup of coffee per month. And one account can be used on up to 10 devices. So if you want to check them out, go to nordvpn.com/divine. Again, nordvpn.com/Mark Divine. That'll give you a great discount and extra 4 months on a 2-year plan. Again, 4 months on a 2-year plan for free. That's awesome. You're going to love it. NordVPN can save your butt when it comes to internet security. I used to think coffee was absolutely necessary every day, but it came with a tax. If I drank too much, I'd get a little jittery, then I'd have a crash, I'd get some brain fog. I knew it was holding me back. I was stoked to find an alternative in Pique Nandaka. It's a game changer. So I made that one simple switch, replacing my coffee with Nandaka. No more energy dips, no more mid-morning crashes, just smooth, all-day focus, powered by probiotic teas, functional mushrooms, and ceremonial-grade cacao. It's not just a coffee alternative, it's a coffee upgrade. Think effortless energy, dialed-in focus, and gut-friendly ingredients that keep you feeling your best all day long. One creamy spiced cacao cup in the morning, and I'm in my zone of genius, ready to roll. It's made with the highest quality ingredients. Nandaka contains up to 30% of cacao butter for enhanced nutrient absorption, and is crafted with pure fruiting body mushrooms. No mycelium, no grains, just the real deal. Its fermented teas are triple toxin screened for unmatched purity. So if you're ready to transform your morning and make it your most productive year ever this year, then you got to check out Nandaka. You can get 20% off now, plus a free starter kit by going to piquelife.com/divine. That's piquelife.com/divine, DIVINE. Don't wait. Your best you and your best year will start with your best morning. And that is with Nandaka. So the third P is principles. What are my principles? Now, if you answer, I've got these questions in my book, Unbeatable Mind, and I think also The Way of the Seal. You can start to really elicit, and this is from your heart, in your quiet time, right? It'll come to you. The answers will come to you. Like, what am my purpose? Why am I on this planet? What's my archetypal reason for being here? For me, it's warrior, teacher, maybe even sage someday, right? But they all connect. What's yours? What's your archetypal energy? And that's your calling. That's your purpose. I would also add that your purpose is to grow and evolve. But you have to, in order to grow and evolve, you got to do it in your unique way, right? If I tried to grow and evolve in someone else's way, like yours, then I wouldn't be fulfilling my calling, and I would actually be doing some harm to myself and others. So you may say, well, my overarching purpose is to grow and evolve, right? Spiritually or emotionally or, whatever. And I would say, yes, that's true, but your way of doing that is going to be unique. So that's your calling. And principles are really important because, we all have a different set of values, and those are dualistic values, by the way. And the more you can align with universal values, the better, and get away from relativistic thinking. And but you're still going to want to have and that itself is a stance to align with universal values as opposed to relativistic values, which always lead to some form of conflict. And so you want to think about, like, what are my principles? Because the principles will then inform your directionality, right, in terms of your mission and how you fulfill your calling. Because you don't want to operate outside of your principles or outside of your values, because those are, they become your guardrails. So what are my principles? And then finally, back to passion. What am I really passionate about? Like, if I said my calling was to be a warrior and my principles were to, I wanted to defend my country and work with elite leaders and to do extremely challenging work, because that's going to be how I best grow. Well, great. Then Navy SEAL makes sense for me. But what if I wasn't passionate about fitness? And what if I wasn't passionate about, doing crazy, dangerous things? Then the Navy SEALs wouldn't be a fit for me. So you want to make sure that your principles, your passions, and this sense of purpose all intersect. They all line up. And in that sweet spot where they all line up, that's called Kokoro. That's whole mind thinking. That's integration. I think that's really powerful. So that's a practice to really reflect upon those three Ps. I do it every morning, but initially it takes some time. You sit with it at the end of your box breathing and your meditation practice, and you just ask those questions and you just make notes. It's called contemplation. Make notes. And you want to distill it down to really simple statements that really reflect as close to the heart as you can what you are, who you are, and how ultimately you're going to show up in the world. So I'll kind of wrap up here. One of the ways that these three Ps can come to life is a practice we call the future self. Now, this practice shows up in the mental mountain, but it actually crosses all 5 mountains because the future self is the invoked or spontaneous vision of that future version of yourself that is acting in total alignment with your purpose and your principles and your passions. So you visualize this first, but ultimately that image kind of comes to you from your spiritual center or from your future self. Again, this is nonlinear, non-dualistic thinking, that future is already simultaneously happening, so you're just tapping into that. It's a very powerful practice to develop clarity around this idea of integration and alignment and who you are becoming. Final quick story. When I did my meditation sessions with my meditation teacher, Mr. Tadashi Nakamura, he would, at the end of our hour sit, he would have a little chalkboard kind of Dharma talk with us. And one of my favorite, he wrote down, one day, one lifetime. And I think this sums up the idea of Kokoro really well. Like you have one day, and that's all you have. You have today. It's like Winnie the Pooh and Piglet. Piglet asks Pooh, what day is it today? And Pooh says, it's today. And Piglet says, oh, today is my favorite day. That's because it's our only day. The only easy day was yesterday. The only day you have is today. One day, one lifetime. And so if today is all you have, how are you going to live? Don't you want to live in alignment with your calling? Don't you want to live on purpose with your solid principles and doing something you're passionate about? Don't you want to live in an integrated fashion so you have no regrets? Well, it's possible, right? You can do it. You can do it with a lot of attention, a lot of presence, and stop living by other people's needs or wants, to include culture, to include social media, to include the government, to include your family, to include your church. You just go within, look within, look within, look within, and uncover who you're meant to be and live it. Bring it to the world. It's an incredible gift. Thanks for joining me today. This is Mark Divine and the Mark Divine Show. Super stoked to be here. Thanks for showing up and for doing the work and for being part of the change that you want to see in the world. We can do that at scale with technology like this. So, hoo-yah, part of the team. Thanks. Divine out.
Thank you for joining us on the Mark Divine Show. We hope this podcast has enriched your life as well as encouraged you to think from new perspectives and make actionable change. You can find all the resources from this episode on the website markdivine.com, along with the video version on the YouTube channel. Just search Mark Divine. You can also connect with Mark Divine directly on Twitter X, Instagram, Facebook, or you can also reach out if you want to share ideas, bring up topics you'd like to hear Mark discuss, or any guest suggestions via his LinkedIn page, Mark Divine. A big thanks to our amazing team at Jet Studios, bringing this podcast to you every week. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the Divine Inspiration newsletter. You can go to markdivine.com and subscribe there. Check out Mark's new performance-focused supplements at sealfitsupplements.com. If you are a new or regular listener to the Mark Divine Show, we would be so grateful if you could rate and review the show. It helps with visibility, and it also gets us out there to more people that are wanting to be positive change agents in this world. Remember, you have the power to create change you want to see. So let's all strive for a better world as trailblazers and warriors of positive change. Stay inspired, stay curious, and be uncommon. Thank you.